A woman is about to give birth to twins, but her grandmother begs her to stop. Not forever, just until dawn, because if these twins are born at the wrong moment, they'll grow up to command demons. It sounds insane, but she listens, and when the twins are finally born, it's clear something is very, very wrong. 16 years later, one of those twins, Yuru, is out in the forest, calm and precise, bringing down a pheasant with a single arrow, like it's nothing. Afterwards, he rides back home on his horse, but his brother Danji approaches him, clearly annoyed that he went hunting alone again. Danji warns that if anything had happened to him in the mountains, no one would have been there to help. However, Yuru dismisses the concern, saying it is not a big deal since the divine guardians on his left and right are always there to protect him. That doesn't ease Danji's worry, but the pheasant certainly does. The moment he sees it, his frustration fades. They will have it grilled for dinner. They continue home, and the villagers greet them warmly along the way, which shows how much they are appreciated in the community. When they arrive, their grandmother immediately calls Danji to help chop firewood, but he refuses and runs off. Yuru doesn't chase him. Instead, he asks about Asa, and just like always, the answer doesn't change. She's fine, carrying out her duty. After that, Yuru heads inside, where he finds his sister Asa sitting in a cage. She welcomes him back, and from the other side of the cage, he tells her about his day and how he caught the pheasant, which impresses her. However, Yuru admits he had hoped to bring back something larger, like a boar or a deer, especially since there has not been much rain, and he is beginning to worry about the harvest. Because of this, he expects there will be less food, so he plans to spend more time hunting to keep their pantry stocked. Hearing this, Asa wonders if the adults might leave the village to find work outside, and when Yuru admits that is possible, she asks if he would go too. In response, he immediately refuses, explaining that he trained himself to hunt, so he would never have to leave. He believes that if he makes himself valuable enough, there will be no reason for him to go, and he assures her that nothing will make him leave, and that he will always stay by her side to protect her, which finally brings her relief. Just then, their mother walks in and tells Yuru that Dara is here. Dara is upstairs, trading with the villagers, using goods he brought from the outside world. And when they ask how things are out there, he explains that the economy is in bad shape and a pandemic is spreading. When Yuru arrives, Dara casually tosses him a ball meant for Asa, knowing that Yuru never asks for anything for himself and only wants souvenirs for his sister. Yuru admits this and trades the pheasant feathers he brought earlier. After Dara leaves, Yuru and Danji begin working on the farm, and as they do, Danji talks about wanting to leave the village and see the outside world, believing it must be special since those who leave never return. However, Yuru disagrees and says he wants to spend his life in the village. Danji assumes this is because of Asa and suggests taking her along, but Yuru replies that being around him would bring shame to Asa and reminds him that she has an important duty. When Danji realizes he has never met Asa, Yuru explains that she is only allowed to meet certain people, not common villagers like him, which leads to an argument. Their argument is suddenly interrupted by a loud sound overhead, and when they look up, Yuru notices white trails of smoke in the sky, joking that they might be dragon farts. As the sound grows louder, he recalls hearing something similar while hunting, and they begin to think it might be a dragon, so they prepare for a fight. Suddenly, a spell releases an energy pulse that shatters the village's barrier, and when they look again, they realize the smoke is coming from an aeroplane, followed by helicopters flying overhead. The villagers panic as they watch the unfamiliar machines, and soon soldiers arrive, cutting down everyone in their path. Even Dara, trying to leave, is shot from behind. In the chaos, the villagers rush to Granny Yamaha for answers, and she tells them the barrier has been broken and that Yuru is likely the target, urging them to find and hide him. Meanwhile, Yuru and Danji reach the village square and find it covered in bodies, and after a moment they run home, hoping their family is safe. On the way, soldiers spot Yuru, but he fires arrows, and together he and Danji knock them out before continuing, as Yuru wonders if the flying machines are dragons. They reach the guardian statues. Danji says his mother is likely still working at the keep, prompting Yuru to begin moving rocks aside and ask for help. After some effort, they uncover a hidden shortcut leading straight to the keep, leaving Danji stunned since he has lived in the village his whole life without knowing it existed. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the village, helicopters deploy a blonde girl named Gabby, who confidently takes on everyone alone. She unleashes her magic, cutting down villagers effortlessly, and once finished, she casually chews gum and tries contacting the ground squad, only to receive no response. This is because Dara survived and eliminated the entire squad on his own. Using his phone, he contacts Hana, saying they must change their meeting point because he believes Asa has appeared. At the same time, near Asa's cage, a girl drags Yuru's grandmother across the ground before stopping in front of the cage. The moment she sees Asa inside, her expression turns to disgust. She calls her a sick joke, and without hesitation, releases a burst of energy that shatters the cage and kills her. Right then, Yuru bursts in. He rushes forward, asking if Asa is all right, but the girl just smirks and calls him her brother, claiming she is the real Asa. She tells him she has come to take him and will kill everyone else. Shocked, Yuru refuses to believe her and fires an arrow, but she blocks it with magic, causing an explosion. Elsewhere, Dara pushes through the village, using a pistol to take down soldiers until he encounters Gabby and the demon she controls. Surprised he can see it, Gabby watches as Dara fires at it, though its teeth are too strong. When she lets her guard down, Dara throws a grenade, catching her in the blast. Back inside, the girl claiming to be Asa is startled by the size of the explosion she caused, having only intended to stop Yuru's arrow. At that moment, the ball Dara gave Yuru rolls through Asa's blood and transforms into a demon that restrains the girl. Yuru's grandmother calls out to Dira, ordering him to take Yuru to the outside world and ensure they never find him. Dira obeys and carries Yuru away. As Donji checks on his injured mother, Yuru rushes past in Dira's arms, leaving him confused. Soon after, Dira and Yuru reach the end of the shortcut, and Dira tells him they are heading to the outside world, starting by going down the mountain. But Yuru is still completely lost and asks Dara to explain what is happening. However, Dara insists there is no time and urges him forward. Before they can escape, they are spotted, and bullets begin flying toward them, making Dara realize their window to escape has already closed. Acting quickly, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a green necklace, telling Yuru to place it in the gap between the left and right guardian statues. Although confused, Yuru follows Dara's urgent command without questioning and runs to put the necklace in place. Even as he stands exposed within the sniper's range, the sniper holds fire due to orders to capture Yuru alive. The moment the necklace is set, Dara rushes over and slams Yuru's face onto it, drawing blood onto the necklace. With that done, the sniper no longer hesitates and prepares to take the shot. However, just as the trigger is about to be pulled, the necklace begins to glow, and a blinding flash of light erupts. When the light fades, two golden beings appear in the sky and instantly tear through the helicopters, sending them crashing to the ground, while Dara grabs Yuru and runs, escaping just in time. Watching the destruction, Gabby screams in frustration, realizing she now has no way to return, though she senses that someone's demons have appeared and wonders whose they are. After everything settles, two beings with red and white hair stand atop the wreckage, noting that their master is just a child. Despite this, they understand that they must obey him without question. Dara then tells Yuru that these two are his demons, left and right.
Years ago, his father took Yuru beneath the village into a hidden tunnel. It ran from under the statues of the right and left guardians to the keep. The passage was built when the village had once been a lord's castle, and only a few people knew it existed. His father told him that the guardians would always protect him. At the time, Yuru did not fully understand. Now, surrounded by the wreckage of fallen helicopters, Yuru sees that it was never just a story. Two beings stand before him and introduce themselves as right and left, his daemons. Dara steps forward and introduces himself as their retainer. The guardians ask about the flying machines they destroyed and learn they are from the outside world. Dara asks them to help guide everyone safely down the mountain. Right and left refuse, saying they only obey their master. Just then, Gabby arrives with her own daemons and quickly learns that Yuru is Asa's brother. Yuru becomes furious the moment he sees her, remembering the villagers she killed. Even so, he does not order his daemons to attack her. Instead, he asks right and left, as guardians of the village, to help the survivors and not harm Gabby. He wants to face her himself. At the keep, Asa breaks free from a daemon holding her. She declares that she will never forgive what has been done and runs away. Back outside, Right charges toward Gabby's daemons, but uses them only to launch himself toward the village. Left attacks directly, kicking the daemons into a hillside. Yuru shoots an arrow into Gabby's leg, but her daemons lift her into the air before he can fire again. Yuru immediately follows. In the village, Right appears before a young girl and carries her to safety. However, his frightening form causes people to faint when they see him, which annoys him. He soon meets Asa. She can see him clearly and attacks him with energy. Right blocks her attack with his own power. Before he can speak further, Asa runs away, though Right senses something familiar about her. Elsewhere, Left forces open the jaws of Gabby's daemons with great strength. Gabby is shocked by his power. While Left holds them back, Yuru shoots another arrow and hits her again. At that moment, Asa arrives. Yuru points his bow at her and demands to know who she is. She tells him she is his sister. She answers his questions about her appearance and personality, proving she is telling the truth. When Right arrives, he confirms it by recognizing that her blood has the same scent as Yuru's. They are truly siblings. This raises another question. The Asa who lived with Yuru in the keep cannot be real. Asa explains that the one in the keep is an imposter. When their parents fled the village with her, they feared Yuru would follow. To stop him, they created a replacement Asa to keep him there. Dara interrupts and asks Asa to step back. Yuru is the target, and staying here will only bring more danger to the village. Yuru decides to leave. Before going, he tells Asa and Gabby not to harm anyone else. Then, he leaves with Dara and his daemons. After he is gone, Asa and Gabby's daemons treat Gabby's injuries. Asa begins to cry, relieved that Yuru is alive. Soon after, Grandma Yamaha restores the barrier around the village. Inside the keep, the false Asa lowers her head, filled with sadness. Far down the mountain, two hikers talk about a legend of a lost village where people disappear. As they speak, Yuru and Dara run past them, with Right and Left flying overhead. Dara tells Yuru that there is no point in hiding in the village anymore. They reach a car where Hana is waiting. She works with Dara as a daemon retainer and can see Right and Left. Since no enemies are nearby, Dara decides they should go somewhere crowded. Yuru hesitates when he sees the car, not understanding what it is. Dara struggles to explain, but Hana describes it simply as something like horses that move very fast. Yuru and the daemons accept this explanation. Meanwhile, Jin arrives with his men to take Gabby away. She lies on a stretcher but speaks calmly, showing she is used to pain. They confirm that Yuru exists but escaped. Jin realizes they have failed their mission and lost many men and machines. He knows their superior will be unhappy. Gabby mentions Dara, and Jin understands that a Tadera daemon retainer was involved. He regrets not bringing his own. Inside the car, Dara explains everything to Hana. He believes the events are connected to the Kagamori, and as they travel, Left senses other daemons nearby. These daemons are not enemies. They are old companions of Right and Left. It becomes clear that Right and Left have not left the mountain in 400 years. Right introduces Yuru as one of the twins who divide night and day. The elegant daemons warn that his path will not be easy, but wish him safe travels as he heads into the human world. After they leave, Dara explains that they are Oshirasama, beings higher than ordinary daemons. Both he and Hana are amazed to have seen them. Yuru begins to understand more about this world. There are many kinds of daemons, including gods, spirits, and those made for battle. Some stories say daemons can even turn on their masters. Gabby's daemon seems to be a combat type, but it shows no sign of betraying her. It stays close as Asa apologizes for letting Yuru escape. Jin tells her not to worry. Their superior will be satisfied that Yuru has left the mountain. However, not everyone is safe. Two of Jin's men try to leave the mountain after the barrier is restored, but they find they cannot escape. The mountain still holds them, just as the legend says. At a roadside rest stop, Hana hands Yuru a set of modern clothes so he can blend in. The unfamiliar fabric and design feel strange to him, but he puts them on anyway. She also gives him food. When he tastes the seaweed-wrapped rice ball, he is surprised by how good it is. For a moment, his thoughts drift to Asa, wishing she could share the same experience. Nearby, Right and Left wander around the rest stop, fascinated by everything they see. The lights, the movement, and the unfamiliar structures draw their attention. Still, they decide to remain near the car with Yuru, while Dara and Hana head inside to eat. Inside the restaurant, Dara explains everything that has happened. He tells Hana that the girl Yuru believed to be Asa was not his real sister. They begin to discuss what to do next. Dara points out that his face has been seen, so returning to his old home is no longer safe. Hana reacts with frustration, noting that he is now without a place to stay, while also responsible for Yuru, whom she sees as a burden. To solve this, Dara suggests that they pretend to be a married couple. Hana immediately questions the idea, suggesting they could simply act as roommates. Dara explains that it would be easier to rent a place as a family, and anything else might draw suspicion. It becomes clear that he has already made up his mind, leaving Hana angry but with little choice. Back at the car, right and left examine it closely. They are puzzled by how such a small vehicle could hold the horses that make it move. Yuru asks if they are hungry, but they explain that they do not eat human food. Instead, they tell him that he can give them new names if he wishes. Yuru considers it, but decides to keep calling them Right and Left. He then asks them what they know about his sister. Right and Left explain that they have stood at the entrance of Higashi village for 400 years. They watched everyone who entered and left, but knew little about what happened inside. They remember hearing about the birth of twins. Over time, they saw Yuru grow, including moments of his father teaching him how to hunt. However, they rarely saw the other child and assumed she had died. That belief changed 10 years ago. They saw Yuru's parents leave the village, carrying a small girl who had the same scent as him. Yuru realizes the truth. He had believed that his parents abandoned both him and Asa. In reality, he was the one left behind. He begins to think that the girl who replaced Asa might know what truly happened to their parents. Dara and Hana return to the car and tell Yuru that they will act as his guardians from now on. They ask if he needs to use the bathroom, but Yuru casually explains that he has already relieved himself outside. Dara also points out that Yuru should not sit on top of the car, as it would attract attention. And as they drive, Dara explains more about the world outside the village. He tells Yuru about the Kajimori clan, a group of daemon wielders who once lived in Higashi village, but left due to a disagreement. There is a rumor that one of the twins ended up with them. Far away in a large city, a different scene unfolds. A woman runs through an apartment building, trying to escape someone chasing her. When she enters an elevator, a man wearing a hood corners her with a knife. Just as he closes in, the woman transforms into a large, monstrous creature resembling an angler fish. At the same time, Jin climbs the stairs, speaking on the phone and calmly reporting that the problem with her stalker has been resolved. The creature devours the attacker. Moments later, another woman arrives and sees the strange daemon floating beside Jin. Realizing she can see it, Jin asks her to remain silent. Back near a convenience store, Dara reveals his full name as Tadera Ryu. He and Hana admit that they do not know everything about the situation. Their roles as retainers were passed down to them, and Hana had never even visited the village before. Their task was simply to ensure that outsiders did not discover it, and that Yuru remained safe. Yuru begins to question his own identity. Dara shares a legend tied to the village. It says that when twin children, a boy and a girl, are born in a village to the east on a day when day and night are equal, the world will be torn apart. Wright recalls that the last time such twins were born was 400 years ago. During that time, a war divided the nation between East and West. Daemon wielders were involved in that conflict, as well as an earlier one between North and South. However, the daemons themselves did not start those wars. They were used by people seeking power. Left explains that Yuru has the potential to gain a special ability. Dara adds that Asa may have already awakened hers. Her power appears to be the ability to break. The opposing ability is to seal. Hana wonders what would happen if both powers met. Dara describes it as a paradox, something that has never been witnessed before. Dara then reveals that Yuru's mother was originally an outsider who accidentally found the village. Yuru remembers something she once told him. She said that in her homeland, his name meant night. She had hoped to one day take her family back there. Later in their journey, Yuru learns how to use a modern bathroom. He manages it well, but refuses to use the hand dryer, finding its noise and force frightening. As night falls, Yuru, Right, and Left walk through a nearby city in Guntama Prefecture. A small festival is taking place, and the area is filled with lights and activity. Yuru looks around in awe at the buildings and the brightness of electric lights, so different from the quiet village he knew. While they walk, Yuru admits that he cannot fully trust Dara and Hana, as they were connected to the deception involving the false Asa and the village itself. At the same time, he cannot trust the Asa he has just met either. He decides on his own path. He will find Asa, capture her, and make her lead him to their parents. Right and Left accept his decision without hesitation. They will follow him wherever he goes. At their new apartment, Yuru steps inside and is immediately overwhelmed by how different everything feels. The space is clean, bright, and filled with things he has never seen before. Running water, lights that turn on instantly, and furniture designed for comfort all seem like small miracles to him. His attention shifts when he notices two daemons near Hana. One resembles a cat, the other a dog. They are called Kotetsu and Jiro. Compared to right and left, they seem smaller and less imposing, so Yuru is not particularly amazed. However, right and left immediately show them deep respect and urge Yuru to do the same. These daemons belong to a special group known as the Zenko Koro, and their presence carries significance that Yuru does not yet fully understand. Dara explains that to blend into society, they will all use Hana's family name, Deno. It will help them appear as a normal household. Hana also mentions that she has inherited a mountain, though she cannot sell it. If Yuru wishes to hunt there, he will need a proper license, something he has never had to think about before. Far from the apartment, at the Kagamori clan's large temple-like estate, Asa trains her ability. She focuses on her power, known as break, trying to control it with precision. However, her aim is still unsteady, and her attacks leave damage around her. But her practice is interrupted when the master arrives. Even so, she is allowed to continue, as long as she avoids causing harm. Jin stands nearby, using one of his daemons, Mai, to clean up the destruction left behind. The master has come to check on Gabby, who is resting while playing a handheld console. Asa offers her an apple, and Jin's other daemon, Makoto, produces a knife to cut it. The master instructs Asa to remain at the estate with Gabby, warning that many people, including members of the Kajimori clan, may try to use her power for their own purposes. Jin prepares to leave. His task is to find Yuru, and he plans to begin by looking into the Tadara. Before he goes, Asa gives him a drawing of right and left, warning him that they can recognize people by scent. Back at the apartment, Dara and Hana continue settling in. Yuru, however, has already slipped away for a walk. Dara, now clean-shaven, draws Hana's irritation, as she preferred his previous rough appearance. He also realizes that his machete is missing and suspects Yuru has taken it. Yuru stands on the rooftop of a building, looking out over the city. The skyline stretches far beyond anything he has ever known. Right and left stand beside him. They believe that since both Yuru and Asa are searching for each other, their paths will cross soon. Yuru asks if they can sense other daemons. Since the Kajimori are full of daemon wielders, he hopes they can track Asa that way. Right and left confirm that they can. Together, they decide to search for a place where daemons gather, especially those carrying a scent similar to Asa's blood. Without warning, right and left transform into their massive golden form. They lift Yuru into the air and take flight. The sudden motion terrifies him, but they move swiftly across the city. After searching from above, they descend into a neighborhood where the presence of daemons is strong. There is also a familiar scent, one tied to Yuru's family. Left warns that encountering other daemons likely means a fight. Right senses a group inside a parking structure. When they approach, they find Jin and several members of the Kajimori clan. Asa appears among them, and without hesitation, Yuru charges forward with his machete. The moment turns quickly. Mai suddenly emerges and traps Yuru inside its massive jaws. The Asa he saw was only an illusion created by Makoto. The scent that led them here came from an old vial Jin carried. The entire situation had been arranged in advance. Jin introduces himself and his daemons, known as the Scavenger. Back at the apartment, Hana grows anxious about Yuru's disappearance. Her concern is not entirely selfless. Since Yuru has not yet been officially registered as part of their household, he does not have health insurance. If he is injured, the cost will fall on her and Dara. She orders Jiro to track Yuru's scent. The dog-like daemon leaps across rooftops, moving quickly through the city. Meanwhile, Kotetsu interacts with a smartphone, locating Jiro's position. It becomes clear that Yuru has traveled far, all the way into Tokyo. At the parking structure, Jin explains that he had expected someone from Higashi village to come for Asa. Yuru's arrival has only made things easier for them. The Kagamori members call out for right and left, sensing their presence. The two guardians step forward, no longer hiding. They decide to turn the situation around by capturing Jin instead. Jin orders Makoto to release weapons, including firearms and even heavier artillery. However, none of it has any effect on right and left. Even powerful attacks fail to harm them. At one point, Makoto throws a heavy stone lantern at right, which only irritates him. One of the Kajimori members, Haruo, summons his daemons. One takes the form of a massive turtle, pinning left down under its weight. The other, shaped like a rabbit, moves with great speed and strikes repeatedly, forcing right back. Seeing an opening, Yuru throws his machete at the turtle daemon. The distraction allows Left to break free. She leaps upward and shatters Mai's teeth, freeing Yuru from its grip. At the same time, Right releases a burst of energy that destroys the lights in the structure, plunging the area into darkness. Yuru and his allies begin to escape. Haruo's daemon reports that it can still sense their movement, but before the Kagomori can react, Yuru suddenly reappears. Moving through the darkness, he strikes at Jin's legs with his machete, cutting one of them. In the next moment, he positions the blade at Jin's throat. Right and Left declare Yuru's identity. He is the twin of the night, and darkness is where he holds the advantage. Their confidence in him goes beyond the usual bond between daemon and master. They trust his instincts completely. Jin admits that he was the one who ordered the attack on Higashi village. The weight of that truth presses on Yuru as he struggles to control himself. Despite his anger, he holds back from killing Jin. Instead, he demands something else. He asks Jin to call Asa. Yuru wants her brought to him immediately. Haruo immediately objects, but Jin calmly steps in and offers a condition. If Yuru truly wants to meet her, he must come to Kagomori Manor. Jin assures him that no harm will come to him there. Yuru refuses at first. Even when Jin explains that Asa also wishes to see him, he remains cautious. Still, he allows Akio, one of Jin's men, to treat the wound on Jin's leg. Yuru admits that he intentionally avoided cutting too deeply. He understands that Jin had chances to kill him earlier, but chose not to. If Jin had truly wanted him dead, Mai could have finished him the moment Yuru was trapped. Even so, Right and Left continue sensing hidden daemons nearby. Akio reveals that he possesses a pair of his own, but they are so enormous that they cannot fit inside the parking structure. After some thought, Yuru agrees to go to Kagomori Manor. Before leaving, however, he warns Jin not to disrespect Right and Left again. During the trip, Jin explains the purpose of his daemons, Mai and Makoto, known together as the Scavenger. Makoto stores objects by swallowing them, including weapons and tools Jin might need during missions. When the mess becomes too large, Mai cleans everything by devouring it whole. Yuru struggles to fully understand the idea of raids and terrorism, but he recognizes how useful such daemons could be. Nearby, Left asks Haruo about the weight of his giant tortoise daemon. Haruo admits he has never measured it. Left quietly decides she must train harder after nearly being crushed during their earlier fight. Their conversation is interrupted when a night watchman discovers them. Unable to see the daemons around him, the man politely informs the group that the parking structure lights have all been destroyed. He directs them toward the illuminated stairwell so they can safely leave the building. Back at Kajimori Manor, Asa receives a message that Yuru is coming. Panic and excitement overwhelm her at once. She wakes Gabby abruptly, trying to decide what she should do and even what she should wear. Jin contacts the master to report that they are on their way. The master is relaxing at a hot spring with his daemons, but he immediately prepares to return to the manor. When Yuru finally arrives, he is struck by the size and security of the estate. Guards stand watch everywhere, and the manor feels more like a fortress than a home. As they move farther inside, Right becomes confused. He expected to sense many daemon wielders immediately, yet the area feels strangely quiet. That changes when they pass through a hidden barrier into what Right calls the VIP section. Suddenly, the presence of daemons surrounds them from every direction. There are so many that Right and Left cannot even count them all. At the same time, Dara and Hana learn through Jiro's tracking that Yuru has entered Kajimori Manor. Neither of them reacts well to the news. Dara casually decides that they will simply have to go and bring him back. At the manor entrance, Yuru is greeted by a man named Asuma. He appears cheerful and overly interested in meeting the twin from Higashi village. It quickly becomes obvious that he overheard Jin's plan to bring Yuru there. Asuma is especially fascinated by Right and Left. Before the situation can grow awkward, Asa rushes outside. Seeing Yuru fills her with excitement, and she immediately wants to embrace him. Yuru feels equally uncertain. Part of him wants to trust her, but another part still hesitates. Even so, he stays focused on what matters most to him, finding out what happened to their parents. Asuma offers to guide Yuru around the manor, but Jin firmly interrupts. Yuru is his guest, and Asuma has no reason to involve himself further. Asuma leaves with an amused smile, while Jin orders Akio to guard the entrance and keep anyone else from entering. The group heads first to the infirmary, so Jin can receive treatment. The doctor there is shocked that Jin was injured by a young man carrying a machete. Yuru sees nothing unusual about it and believes every boy should own at least 1 or 2 machetes. To his surprise, Asa agrees with him completely. The doctor hands Jin a vial of Asa's blood, which had been collected earlier. Yuru is horrified, believing they are harming women and children by taking blood from them. Asa quickly explains that modern medicine allows blood to be drawn safely and painlessly. Haruo watches the exchange with disbelief. He cannot understand how Yuru can casually attack people with a blade, yet react so strongly to the idea of giving blood. Asa reassures Yuru further, saying she is fed well and loses very little from the process. Yuru, however, becomes distracted by how much she has grown. The Asa he remembers was much smaller. Asa tells him that living in the outside world and eating properly helped her grow taller and healthier. Yuru finds the idea unpleasant, especially because of how heavily seasoned modern food tastes to him. Still, he admits the rice is excellent. Eventually, Yuru asks the question that has been haunting him. He demands to know where their parents are. Expressions of Asa changes immediately. She admits that they are not at the manor, and that she does not know where they are now. Jin explains what happened after Yuru's parents escaped Higashi village. The Kajimori clan gave them shelter, and afterward they planned to visit Yuru's mother's family in Okinawa so she could reassure them that everyone was safe. They boarded a plane in Tokyo, but when the flight landed in Okinawa, they had vanished completely. The daemon wielder assigned to protect them disappeared as well. No trace of any of them was ever found. Despite this, Asa still trusts the Kagomori clan. After leaving Higashi village, assassins targeted her, and the Kagomori protected her from them. Elsewhere, hidden figures discuss the news of the twins finally reuniting. They speak of how important the moment is and consider whether this is the perfect chance to seize them. One voice decides that the boy no longer matters. Only the girl's head is needed. Moments later, 2 strange daemons attack Kagomori Manor. They resemble ghostly killer whales, marked with yin-yang symbols on their heads. In her room, Gabby notices unfamiliar daemons watching her. At the same time, Jin explains to Yuru that the attackers belong to an outsider. Rather than destroy the daemons, he would prefer to capture their master. The doctor coldly says that if they must fight, they should kill the enemy quickly, because she has no desire to treat more injuries afterward. She also explains that if a daemon's master dies, and the daemon is not transferred to someone new, it becomes a stray tied permanently to the place where its master died. Yuru says he will try not to kill the enemy master, so the daemons do not become troublesome strays. Jin then calls on Makoto, who spits out several weapons, including a bow and arrows. Taking the bow in hand, Yuru fires an arrow at the approaching yin-yang daemons, but misses. With no way to stop them, his group is forced to retreat. Jin contacts Gabby to check on her situation, but tells her he can't help because of his condition. Left on her own, Gabby uses Gabriel to devour the 2 daemons attacking her, killing them instantly. She then steps outside and discovers that the manor is surrounded by daemons. Asa gets ready to fight the yin-yang daemon. Jin tells her not to hold back, promising to deal with the master's anger if her powers destroy the manor. Asa asks Yuru to distract the daemons, but before they can attack, the yin-yang daemons merge together and unleash a blinding wave of energy. When the light fades, Asa and Yuru are gone. The yin-yang daemons attempt to escape, but Haruo uses Torty to increase their weight and pin them down. He suspects their ability to make people disappear may be connected to the disappearance of Asa's parents. Haruo informs Jin that enemy daemons have surrounded the manor and tells him to handle them. Help is scarce because the master, Natsuki, and Fuyuki are still away, while Hagure is asleep. Meanwhile, Asa wakes up alone in a dark void. The endless darkness terrifies her, causing her to panic. Fortunately, she isn't completely alone. Right, her brother's daemon, is there with her and calms her down by gently patting her head. He can't smell Yuru anywhere, but assumes Left is with him, so he should be safe. Right followed Asa for a reason. Ever since they first met in Higashi village, she has never spoken to him. Asa remembers how Right once neutralized her break power. She also recalls her father explaining that Right and Left could prevent prevent the break and seal powers from spiraling out of control. Right admits that he is Asa's natural enemy. Asa responds that if Yuru inherits the seal power, then Left will become his natural enemy as well. Elsewhere, Yuru finds himself in a bright, empty void with Left. Neither of them has seen a place like this before. Left believes they are trapped inside a spherical barrier created by the daemons because the space has both a floor and a ceiling. Yuru asks her to help him adjust his aim since the strange environment has thrown off his balance. Left is surprised by how calm he is, but Yuru says he became used to confusion after the attack on his village. Left holds up a machete as a target for practice, but Yuru accidentally shoots her twice. Since her body is made of stone, she isn't harmed. Left wonders if he is worried about Asa, but Yuru believes her break power should be strong enough to escape the barrier. Back at the manor, Torti continues pinning down the yin-yang daemon. Suddenly, Asa breaks out of the barrier alongside Right. She uses break to destroy the contract binding the daemons to their master, causing them to collapse. Asa then uses a vial containing her old blood to make herself their new master. After calming the frightened daemons, she orders them to release her brother. Yuru and Left are spat out immediately and prepare to fight, but Asa and Haruo stop them. Haru explains that the daemon's former master may know something about Asa's missing parents. Asa orders the daemons to identify their former master, and they point him out. Yuru quickly shoots the man with an arrow, incapacitating him. Elsewhere in the manor, Jin, Ai, and Makoto deal with the remaining attackers, mostly by letting their daemons devour them. Gabby finds Jin and reports that she has already taken down 5 intruders herself. With Yuru providing support from the rooftop, and the rest of the Kagomori clan joining the battle, the defenders soon overwhelm almost all of the attackers. Jin thanks Yuru for his help, but Yuru makes it clear that he isn't fighting for the Kagomori clan. He is only searching for his parents. Gabby and Yuru briefly argue before the group decides to interrogate the surviving intruders before the master returns. Haruo uses Torti to pin one of the captives down until he talks. The man eventually reveals that the attack was organized by a bearded man wearing a camouflage jacket. Unfortunately, Akio has already beaten that man to death with a crowbar. None of the surviving captives know anything about the whereabouts of Asa and Yuru's parents. Asa asks the captive for the names of the yin-yang daemons, but he admits that he never named them. To him, they were nothing more than mindless servants. His answer enrages Gabby, who nearly has her daemons bite his head off. Wanting to keep the daemons, Asa asks whether they can shrink themselves. They immediately transform into small, adorable yin-yang colored pets. Later, Yuru asks Asa if her life has been this dangerous ever since she left the mountain. Asa says it has, although this attack involved far more enemies than usual. Even so, she's glad that Yuru is here. Yuru then asks about her eye patch, and Asa tells him she doesn't want to lie to him. She reveals that she has died once before, killed by an assassin from Higashi village. Yuru remembers the first time someone tried to kill him. It happened shortly before his parents left Higashi village. While hunting in the mountains with his father, he was suddenly attacked by a stranger. Yuru managed to stab the man, and his father finished him off with an arrow. His father explains that this is what true killing intent looks like. Anyone who genuinely means Yuru harm must be treated without hesitation. He then throws the attacker's body into a ravine and teaches Yuru an important lesson. Fear can get him killed. Instead of panicking, he must stay calm, analyze the situation, and act rationally. The following day, Yuru and his father return to the village. Following his father's wishes, Yuru tells no one about the attack. None of the villagers suspect anything, although Granny Yamaha seems unusually skeptical. When Yuru reaches Asa's room, his mood immediately improves. He tells everyone that he's exhausted after spending the previous night awake. His sister reminds him to take better care of himself. Yuru makes up a story about the animal they were hunting and tells it to Asa, while his father secretly reveals the truth to his mother. Soon afterward, Yuru's parents left the village with the real Asa. Just as Asa later explained, Yuru spent the next 10 years living beside an imposter, while the entire village lied to him about what happened to his family. Back at Kagomori Manor, Asa reveals what happened to her 1 year earlier. She was kidnapped by an assassin, murdered, and then gained the power of break through her death. After dying, Asa found herself in a dark void, filled with pathways made of bones and skulls. There she met a daemon that exists between life and death and possesses the power of break. The daemon informs her that she is dead. Asa immediately asks if she has been sent to hell. The question surprises the daemon. Curious, it searches through a book and explains that the place is actually called Yomotsu Hirasaka. Hearing this reminds Asa of her father's prophecy about twins who would one day command powerful daemons. Still struggling to accept what happened, Asa cannot believe that someone from Higashi village tried to kill her. The daemon then asks what she intends to do next. Death is not the end. Humans who arrive there have two choices. They can accept death, or they can accept a daemon's power. If Asa wishes to die, she only needs to jump from the path of bones. If she chooses life, she can accept break and return to the world of the living. The daemon explains that break grants tremendous power, but it comes with a price. Anyone who possesses it will constantly be hunted by people who want to kill them or exploit their abilities. Asa asks whether her brother has appeared there before. The daemon says he has not. If Yuru dies, he will go somewhere else entirely to the place connected to Seal. Not knowing whether her brother is alive or dead, Asa refuses to give up. If Yuru is still alive, she has to find and save him. When Asa awakens, she is still tied to the chair where her killers left her. The assassins are arguing because they failed to resurrect her and claim the power of break for themselves. They take comfort in knowing that Yuru is still alive in the village. They believe his future seal power will be enough to help them achieve their dream of ruling the underworld. Asa suddenly breaks free. Despite losing her right eye, she kills both assassins. Gabby has been searching desperately for Asa and is shocked when she discovers the bodies. Asa apologizes, but says she must follow the path she has chosen. Back in the present, Asa apologizes to Yuru as well. Meanwhile, Gabby discovers small totems left behind by the daemons she and Gabriel killed during the attack. Realizing the figurines were treasured by their owners, she carefully gives them a respectful funeral. The next morning, Tadera Ryu, better known as Dara, arrives at Kagamori Manor to take Yuru with him. Yuru feels conflicted because Dara, Hana, and the Kagamori family clearly distrust one another. Rather than choosing sides, he decides to hear everyone's story together. Jin agrees and allows Dara inside. Inside the manor, Asuma discusses the damage caused by the recent attack. Jin scolds him for sleeping through the entire incident. Hagure arrives shortly afterward and is relieved to learn that Asa survived. He meets Yuru for the first time and is immediately intimidated by right and left. Hagure apologizes for being absent, explaining that he collapsed from exhaustion after finishing his final exams. A car soon arrives carrying the master of the Kagamori family. To everyone's surprise, Dara steps out as well. The master casually gave him a ride. Kagamori Gonzo is excited to finally meet Yuru and his daemons, but Jin remains suspicious of a member of the Tadera clan showing up unannounced. Yuru, right, and left begin wondering about the history between the Kagamori and Tadera families. Yuru then asks why nobody told him that obtaining the power of seal requires dying first. Dara explains that they didn't want him believing death was something he could casually come back from. Right warns that resurrection is never guaranteed. Left adds that one pair of prophesied twins born more than 400 years ago died and never returned. The conversation quickly becomes too heavy for everyone involved. Gonzo decides there is a much better place to discuss it. He invites both the Kajimori and Tadera families to sit down together and share breakfast.
And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and feel free to write whatever you want in the comments section. Thank you for watching.